Bro. Bro. What's going on, chat? What y'all on, dog? Y'all know we are with. We not with. Oreo, what's happening? But I'm gonna tell y'all something, gang. Look, I told y'all I work in a warehouse. Bro, for some reason today it was so humid, I could not breathe in that bitch. I felt like a fish without water in that motherfucker. I was like, hey, turn on the air in here. Knowing damn well we ain't got no air in the back. Mr. High, what's happening? What's up, gang? What's up, bruh? The guy, he said, yes, sir. Hey, bro. What's happening, Brody? Bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. I feel good. Took a cold shower. I'm in some comfortable clothes, although I have bacon neck. You hear me? You see this? The fuck? The fuck? Hey, man, when I was in high school, I'll tell y'all this story real quick. In high school, if your neck, for some reason, bro, not even your neck, your collar, your shirt, your collar and your shirt is all crumbled up, we called it bacon neck. Walk up on him, bacon neck. Bruh, yeah. It was hotter in the shop than it. No, facts. It was hotter in the shop. Bro, you sweating bullets in that motherfucker. But bro, we might as well let's crumble this bitch. Fuck it. Let's just crumble this bitch up. It's already bacon. It's already bacon. Let's just go ahead and make it even. Bacon more. Man. Oh yeah, y'all. Hey. I got something to tell y'all too. So me and my cameraman was talking, gang. You hear me? On the weekends, we about to start doing IRL streams, gang. Hey, most of the time, we send our asses right here. Streaming desktop. I want to give y'all something different. You know? I want to give y'all something different. Something to little entertain y'all. To actually entertain y'all. You know what I mean? Cause me sitting in this chair, I really can't. I can't really. I can show my personality, but I can't show my fashion. I can't show like. I want to show y'all what type of shit I buy. Like what type of shit I do. Or what I like to do. I just want to give y'all more content, gang. So, we about to start this reaction video. But what the fuck is that? Is that my... The fuck? Making that damn noise. Bye. My bad, y'all. I was watching DJ Academics. I fuck with bro, even though he be going crazy sometimes. But I fuck with his content because a lot of shit he be speaking the truth on. I know a lot of people hate him. But that's one person I do like to watch, man. He's funny sometimes. He's funny as hell. But look, hey, we about to read this title. Disturbing Games Based on True Events. I don't know about y'all, but I love to play games. And a lot of games, I mean, I don't think they tell you on the back of the story that they're trying to tell you or describe about the game that this was based on a true story. I'm pretty sure they don't. And if they do, it's new to me. But we're going to watch this. And this is 40 minutes. But I'm going to tell y'all now, gang. We not about to watch the whole thing. It's not happening, gang. It's not happening. We'll probably watch 30 minutes of it, for sure.
Most disturbing games follow...
Hold on. But before we start, go get your candy, go get your popcorn, your ice cream, go get whatever you need. Even your little, your smoke, your smoke. Cause I'm about to light up. Let's get it.
The same formula. Jump scare, a chase scene, then repeat. But these ones are different because they actually happened. These are disturbing games based on true events. In Town of Light, you play as Renee, a 16-year-old girl exploring the ruins of a long-abandoned psychiatric hospital. She's trying to piece together her own past. Her memories are scattered and fragmented, and as you walk through the empty halls, you'll start to uncover the truth of what really happened. But as you might have guessed, Town of Light isn't just telling Renee's story. It's telling the story of a real place and the people who are locked inside it. This is Volterra Psychiatric Hospital, the real-life location that Town of Light is based on. Unlike most horror games that create fictional settings, this one places you in a...
He said, I just got me some smoke and spaghetti. In fact, hey, you put a little Parmesan on that spaghetti gang. Do you put a little Parmesan in that spaghetti gang? You gotta add the little sprinkle of that Parmesan.
World that once existed, a place where real people lived, suffered, and in many cases never left. Volterra was one of Italy's most well-known asylums. It was built in the late 1800s during a time when mental illness was widely misunderstood. At its peak, it held over 6,000 patients, a staggering number for a single facility. But Volterra wasn't just a hospital, it was a place of isolation, where people society didn't understand were locked away. Many of the people sent to Volterra weren't exactly what we would consider mentally ill today. Some people were put there for conditions like depression, anxiety, epilepsy, or even something as simple as just being a little bit different from the norm. Women in particular were often institutionalized for being too emotional or difficult to control. Others ended up there simply because their families didn't want them anymore. And once you were admitted, there was very little hope of leaving.
Hey man, they got that now. It's called the Sandra Bland Act. You know? If you didn't know, you know? Do your research. Because I don't want to be the one to tell y'all. Do your research.
For the years, the hospital developed a reputation.
They can get rid of y'all ass, gang. For real. They can say you crazy and send you away. Just look it up, gang.
For its cruel treatments. Patients were subjected to electroshock therapy, often without anesthesia, and in some cases, doctors performed lobotomies, procedures that left patients in a zombie-like state, while others were simply locked in dark, cramped rooms for days or weeks at a time. One of the most disturbing moments in Town of Light is when Renee recalls being restrained and sedated. This wasn't exaggerated for effect. It was standard practice within the real hospital. Patients who resisted treatment were often tied to their beds for days, injected with high doses of sedatives to keep them...
See, so how you supposed to, like, say the person has, like, problems or so, and they send them to these places and they treat them like animals, bro. How they supposed to get better? Or the key is for them not to get better. Because we always hear these stories like, I know y'all heard the stories, bro. All these insane asylums and stuff, bro. They did them so dirty. And we all know they was already messed up. And they in there doing them worse. So, like, I don't know. It never made sense to me.
Docile or locked in isolation rooms with no explanation. These treatments certainly weren't meant to help, they were more meant to control. Once inside Volterra, leaving was nearly impossible.
There you go, they said it. It wasn't supposed to help. They're supposed to control them.
The very nature of psychiatric commitment laws meant that the patients had no real voice. They were labeled as insane, and anything they said in their defense was dismissed as delusional. Families often relinquished all legal control.
Okay, what game is this based off of, though? Damn.
leaving the hospital's administrators with absolute power over their lives. Some patients spent decades institutionalized for conditions that modern medicine would very easily treat, while others never left at all. But perhaps the most haunting detail is what happened when Volterra finally closed. In 1978, Italy passed a law shutting down many psychiatric hospitals, including Volterra. But when the doors closed, many patients were left abandoned. They had nowhere to go,
What?
no families to return to, as some just took to wandering the streets, being homeless and forgotten. In the Town of Light, you see this desolation firsthand. The game doesn't fill the hospital with ghosts or supernatural creatures. It doesn't really need to. The actual horror lies in what actually happened, what was allowed to happen for decades.
This is Expedience
I wanna
Gym
play that
Monster
game.
2. And if you're not familiar with Expedience Gym Monster, let's first
I
talk
wouldn't be
about
the one to play the game, bro. I wouldn't play that game. I need something popping out on me. I ain't gonna lie. If it's supposed to be a horror game, which I don't know if that is a horror game, but they made it seem like it's like some horror shit. I mean, like, what? You need some pop out moments. I need something. Me just wandering the halls, I won't get scared.
2010, a German game developer named Jens Stober created a video game that almost no one would think to make. It wasn't about a haunted house or being chased by monsters. It was something much more real. Something still fresh in the minds of those who lived through it. The game was called 1,378 Kilometers, named after the exact length of the border that once divided East and West Germany during the Cold War. But this wasn't just a history lesson. To understand why this game caused so much outrage, you need to know that after World War II, Germany was split in half. The western side became a democracy backed by the US, UK, and its allies, while the eastern side became a communist state controlled by the Soviet Union. The problem being,
see, if history class, you know, I guess I wasn't fine with history because of my teacher that was teaching the class. His voice got on my nerves. I'm not gonna lie to you. He was irky. You asked the question, he seemed irked. That's teachers nowadays anyways. Like, if we don't get it when the way you explaining it, and we raise our hand, and you tell them, hey, I don't get it. Well, they get mad at you. Well, what do you don't get? You wasn't paying attention. No, I'm paying attention. You just not explaining it. You know, I'm not comprehending to how you explaining it. But boy, I guess what I'm trying to say is, all I needed was them to put a TV in front of me, and I'd probably sit down and watch everything and know all about the history. But them, hey, read this book. I was a clown ass nigga in class. I wasn't, hey, I'm taking zeros. We taking zero. You gonna take a zero or you gonna read? Well, if I read and I mess up, I got the bros in the back of the class chuckling. So I'm about to mess up even more. So, hey, Trey, you gonna take Trey, Mr. Burton, are you gonna take a zero today? Like you did yesterday? Yeah, I'll make up on it on the quiz. Yeah, I'll make up on it on the quiz. They still back there chuckling. You can't, bro. I know y'all know that feeling. Y'all have friends in that motherfucker dying laughing at y'all. Kiki and ha. Shut up. Let me read.
Was that life in the East was miserable. The government controlled nearly every aspect of daily life, and people weren't allowed to leave. By the late 1950s, millions had already fled to the West in search of a better life. The solution, according to East German leaders, was simple: build a wall. In 1961, the Berlin Wall was constructed, a deadly barrier stretching across Germany, trapping millions of people inside the communist-controlled East. And it wasn't just a wall, it was a killing zone. Border guards were ordered to shoot anyone who tried to escape, and over the years, hundreds of desperate people were gunned down trying to cross it. Fast forward to 2010, and this is exactly what the game recreated, as you have the option to play as one of these border guards, and your job was to stop defectors from escaping. And stopping them didn't just mean blocking their path, it meant you had the option to shoot them. That was the moment the game crossed the line for many. Survivors of the Berlin Wall era, many of whom had lost family members to the border shootings, were horrified.
Yeah, brother. That's kind of crazy, bro. That's like somebody making a slavery game or the Holocaust shit and all that weird ass, it's not weird, but that was our history and all that shit. But all that shit, yes, it is weird, by the way. That is weird. Let me retract my statement. That is weird. But to make a game is like, that shit ain't cool. Not to make a game over that, like, that's kind of wild. That's like mockery.
News outlets called the game disgusting and offensive. Many saw it as an insult to those who had died trying to escape. Chris Geffroy, one of the last people shot while trying to flee.
Why he look like Machine Gun Kelly? Spitting it. Hey, that's the young one. Machine Gun Kelly.
To the west, was gunned down at just 20 years old for attempting to escape a life he
Rest
never
in peace.
chose. Was this game really an educational experience, as the developer claimed, or was it something worse? A simulation of murder wrapped in the excuse of history. The backlash was so strong that just days before its official release, the game was pulled. Jens Stober defended his work, saying that he never meant to glorify violence. Instead, he wanted players to understand the weight of history. But to many, that wasn't enough. With tensions escalating, the game's planned release date, October 3rd, 2010, was supposed to be symbolic. It fell on Germany Unity Day, a national holiday celebrating the reunification of East and West Germany. But instead of serving as a moment of reflection, as the developer would have hoped, the timing only added fuel to the fire. Critics saw it as an insult, almost like a slap in the face to those who had suffered under the Berlin Wall. Jens didn't cancel it entirely, but he postponed its release indefinitely, saying he needed to rethink how it was going to be presented. He insisted that he never meant to offend anyone and that his goal was to only educate. But many thought the damage had already been done. Even with its eventual quiet release, the controversy never fully faded.
That kind of give me like the way that the first person is and how the graphics is. It kind of give me that 007. I mean, I know a lot of y'all some youngins, but bro, if you played that old 007, boy.
Had already been done. Even with its eventual quiet release, the controversy never fully faded. Today, 1,378 kilometers remains an obscure game, mostly discussed rather than played.
Yeah, get it off the screen.
Velvet Assassin is a stealth action game that dropped in 2009, letting players step into the shoes of a World War II spy named Violet Summer. It plays like a typical wartime thriller, sneaking through enemy bases, taking down high-ranking officers, and sabotaging Nazi operations. But what most players might not realize is that Velvet Assassin is directly inspired by a real-life secret agent. But her story is based on Violet Sabo, a British spy who operated in Nazi-occupied France. Sabo wasn't just any soldier, she was part of the Special Operations Executive, or SOE for short. It was a covert British group that sent agents behind enemy lines during World War II. These weren't just standard soldiers, they were saboteurs, intelligence gatherers, and assassins, trained to fight and disrupt the enemy from within. Velvet Assassin places you in similar high-stakes missions, sneaking through dark corridors, hiding in shadows, and eliminating officers with silenced weapons. But what Velvet Assassin doesn't tell you is that the real Violet story had no Hollywood ending. She didn't have the luxury of a health bar or checkpoints. The game might be inspired by her story, but it leaves out the most chilling details, and what happened to the real spy was far more disturbing than anything you see in game. The real Violet was born in France in 1920.
Man, what they do to her, gang? They probably did the worst to her, bro. For him to be saying that.
But grew up in London. When World War II broke out, she married a French foreign legionnaire named Etienne Sabo, who later died in battle. His death fueled her determination to fight back against the Nazis, and in 1943, she was picked up by the SOE. Sabo was sent on her first mission to France in April of 1944, just 2 months before.
The fuck? Bro, that's why I hate when my dog and my cat, really my cat, when he get his fat ass on top of my desk, when he get up here, I be feeling like the hair is getting on me. And then we got Bentley ass German Shepherd that shed like a motherfucker. Boy, don't get me started on him. I got a pet vacuum for his ass. He be trying to run. I be grabbing his ass. Where you going, boy? Where you going?
the D-Day invasion. Her job was to gather intelligence, coordinate sabotage operations, and arm local resistance fighters. She completed the mission successfully and returned to England, but the fight wasn't quite over yet. Her second mission would be her last. In June of 1944, just after D-Day, Sabo parachuted back into France. Her new mission was to help organize resistance fighters and disrupt German reinforcements moving towards Normandy. But before she could fully complete her objective, she and her team were ambushed by Nazi soldiers at a roadblock near the town of Salon-la-Tour. The Velvet Assassin version of this moment would likely show our spy fighting her way out, escaping into the night. But in reality, Sabo had no such luck. With no way out, she covered for her comrades, holding off the enemy with a Sten gun while they escaped. She fought until she ran out of ammunition, and then she was captured. At first, she was taken to Limoges, where she endured
You know, when you get captured, it's a whole different story. I would have just, hey, kill me. Hey, take me. Take me now. The fuck? Take me now. That sound wild, too. No homo. The fact.
brutal interrogations at the hands of the Gestapo, but despite their torture, she refused to give up any information. Instead of breaking, she responded with sarcasm, even mocking her captors. This defiance only made things worse for her. From Limoges, she was transferred to Fresnes prison in Paris, where she was held in solitary confinement. Then, in August of 1944, as the Allies pushed further into France, she was sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp in Germany. This is where her story took its most tragic turn. Ravensbrück wasn't just a prison, it was a nightmare. A brutal women's concentration camp where thousands were worked to death, tortured, or executed. It was here that Violette Sabo spent months enduring forced labor, starvation, and unimaginable cruelty. Then, in early 1945, just a few months before the war would end, she was taken to an execution site inside the camp. Along with 2 other captured SOE agents, she was forced to kneel and was subsequently shot. She was only 23 years old.
What?
The world would only learn what happened to her after the war, when the survivors from the concentration camp told the horrifying truth. The game Velvet Assassin may honor her memory
23 years old, bro. She was young and she was an assassin. Chat, what the fuck? Damn. So that means she probably got married at a young age. Back then, they got married young. What the?
with a fearless protagonist, but it stopped short of telling her full story.
Creating
She went out like a soldier. Yeah, I guess.
The Bridge Curse 2, The Extrication, is a horror game based on a Taiwanese urban legend, but that's not why it's in this video. The first game took place at Tung Hai University, a real school in Taiwan, where a bridge is said to be cursed by a spirit. According to the legend, if you try to cross it at night, you might find yourself walking in circles, unable to escape. Some say the ghost of a woman appears, trapping those who disturb her. The second game builds on that fear, but this time it introduces something even more unsettling. A mysterious
Now that might be a scary
haunted
game.
elevator
Now that might be a scary game.
and a sense that something unnatural is at play. The game's main character find themselves in a situation that feels terrifyingly familiar. The game's setting is a university, but it doesn't feel like one. The halls are too empty, the shadows move when you aren't looking, and worst of all, you're being watched. The protagonist doesn't know how or why they got here, but they know they need to get out.
hell
Players
no,
must piece
bro.
together clues, navigate through dimly lit hallways, and avoid an unseen force that's always lurking nearby.
couldn't do
One
it.
of the most unnerving parts of the game happens in an elevator. It seems simple at first. You watch a woman through a security camera, waiting for the doors to close and expecting to reach another floor. But things don't seem quite right. The woman moves strangely, jumping out the elevator and clinging to its walls. For some players, this scene was unsettling for a reason they couldn't quite explain. Then it clicked. This wasn't just another horror game trope. It felt eerily similar to something they had seen before. Something real. A security camera recording of a young woman in an elevator, pressing buttons, stepping in and out, and looking as if something was following her. That woman was Elisa Lam, and her story remains one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries. In February of 2013, the Los Angeles Police Department released a strange surveillance video to the public. It was grainy, taken from an old security camera inside an elevator at the Cecil Hotel. At first glance, it may not seem out of the ordinary, but the longer you watch, the more unsettling it became. Elisa Lam, the woman in the footage, was a 21-year-old student from Canada who had been traveling alone through California.
What's
She was
up with all
supposed to
these
check
young?
out the hotel that day, but she never did. Her parents, who had been in constant contact with her, stopped hearing from her entirely. Concerned, they reported her missing, prompting a police investigation. At the time, no one knew what had happened to Elisa. All investigators had was this bizarre elevator footage recorded shortly before she vanished. The video shows Elisa stepping into the elevator and immediately pressing multiple buttons, as if she's unsure where she wants to go. The doors, however, don't close. Seconds pass. She leans out and looks down the hallway, quickly pulling back as if she'd seen something or someone. Then she hesitates, stepping in and out the elevator, glancing nervously in both directions. As the video continues, her behavior becomes even more disturbing. At one point, she presses herself against the wall as if she's hiding. Her body language suggests panic, but there's no visible threat.
Why ain't she screaming help? If she's seeing something, some like figure or some shit, why ain't she screaming help? That's kind of weird to me. Why ain't she saying nothing? Help! Please!
Eventually, she steps out of view entirely. The elevator doors, which have remained open for far too long, suddenly close. But by then, Elisa is no longer inside. The footage ends. The video went viral almost immediately. People were disturbed by how unnatural her behavior seemed, and tons of theories began to spread. Some believed she was hiding from someone, a stalker, a hotel employee, maybe even an unseen attacker just outside the camera's view. Others thought she was under the influence of drugs, experiencing paranoia or hallucinations. But an autopsy later revealed that there were no traces of drugs or alcohol in her system, apart from small traces of her prescribed drugs, as Elisa was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. There was also a more paranormal explanation. The Cecil Hotel had a long and infamous history of murders and sinister guests, including serial killers like Richard Ramirez. Some believed Elisa wasn't alone in that elevator, that something from the hotel's dark past had been watching her. Regardless of the theory, the biggest question remained the same. Where did Elisa go after stepping out that elevator? That question wouldn't be answered until nearly 3 weeks later, when hotel guests began complaining about foul-smelling, discolored water coming from their taps. What happened next would turn this from a missing persons case into one of the most infamous mysteries of all time. As the game progresses, another eerie connection begins to surface: the presence of water. In horror stories, water is often linked to spirits,
shit, yeah, see,
particularly in
man.
Asian.
See, I can't, bro. I played some scary games. You know, when Halloween, you know, October come up, I'll be playing scary games and I'll be streaming them. But, bro, some of them games out there, I can't. Y'all just see me jump off that little bullshit, bro.
Folklore, where drowning victims are said to become restless ghosts. In real life, Elisa's body was found in the rooftop water tank of the Cecil Hotel weeks after she had disappeared. The circumstances of her death were so strange that even the authorities still don't understand how she got there. The developers have never confirmed that
She was in the fucking water tank? How? And that shit was going through that water, man. That's nasty. What the?
they were inspired by Elisa's case, but the similarities are undeniable.
Hungry Root is here.
And I needed it.
Yeah,
because my
that game
fridge is
copied off
super
that.
empty. I'm
For
gonna
sure.
Open the box.
For sure.
You start in the middle of nowhere, snow-covered mountains stretching as far as the eye can see. Your only guide is a flickering flashlight and the distant sound of your own footsteps. The deeper you go, the more unsettling it feels. The loneliness, the paranoia, the overwhelming sense that you're not alone. This is Kolot, a horror game unlike any other. There are no monsters
Kolot.
lurking in the dark, no jump scares every few minutes. Instead, the terror comes from the emptiness, from the feeling that something terrible happened here and that it could happen again. But this isn't just another survival horror game. It's based on a real event, one of the most disturbing and mysterious cases in modern history. A story so chilling, so unexplainable, that it has haunted investigators, scientists, and conspirators.
He said people was drinking that shower water. But that's, bro, I know, that's what I'm saying. Cause some people, like, you think about that with that last one we just watched, y'all. bro, some of them was probably taking, just like Mr. Hot said, taking showers in there. And you know, when you taking a shower, your mouth be open sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Ah, yeah, And I know some of them. Somebody in that hotel didn't care how that water looked and took a sip for sure. You know, we got all types of people out here, man. I'm going to tell you that now. Somebody took a sip of that water.
Conspiracy theorists for over 60 years. It all started in 1959 when 9 hikers vanished in the Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. Their bodies were discovered weeks later, scattered across the snow in ways that defied logic. Their tent was found ripped open. Some were found barefoot, half dressed in the freezing cold, with some of their bodies covered in strange injuries, broken bones without external wounds, missing eyes, and one of them had a missing tongue, and no one could explain why. The deeper we go, the stranger this mystery becomes. One of Kholat's greatest strengths is how accurately it recreates the brutal conditions of the Ural Mountains. In real life, the group was trekking towards a peak called Kholat Circle, which translates to Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. The game's title is obviously a direct reference. The game's environment captures the harshness of the terrain too. The deep snowdrifts, the lack of shelter, the eerie silence of the mountains at night. In real life, the hikers had to battle temperatures dropping as low as minus 30 degrees Celsius, and the unpredictable weather likely made survival even more difficult. However, in the game, the landscape is even emptier than in reality. The real Dyatlov group encountered Mansi hunter trails, and there were reports of other expeditions in the area, though none close enough to intervene. The game isolates you completely, amplifying the horror. In Kholat, you don't start inside the hiker's tent. You're already out in the cold, left to piece together what happened. But in the real case, the tent itself became one of the biggest mysteries. Rescuers found it still standing, but with a crucial detail. It had been slashed open from the inside, implying that the hikers had been so desperate to escape that they couldn't even have used the tent's entrance. They cut their way out and ran half-dressed into the freezing night. The real horror of the incident lies in how the bodies were discovered. Some were found nearly a mile away.
So did they get hypothermia? And that's when they started like going crazy a little bit? I don't know.
Away from the tent, wearing little clothing, as if they had fled in pure terror. 3 had massive internal injuries, being broken ribs and crushed skulls, but 0 external wounds, leading investigators to compare it to the force of a car crash. One victim, Lyudmila Dubinina, was found without her tongue and parts of her face. A few had traces of radiation on their clothes too. In Kholat, there's a constant feeling that something is out there watching you, but in reality, no evidence of an attacker, human or otherwise, was ever found. However, the way Kholat presents its world mirrors the hiker's disorientated movements. The game forces you to navigate with only a map, compass, and coordinates, obviously similar to the real-life expedition's methods. It's easy to get lost, panic, and end up somewhere you shouldn't be, just like the real hikers. The game leans heavily into the supernatural, hinting at shadowy figures, glowing entities, and forces beyond human understanding. While the real case is surrounded in mystery, most theories focus on natural or man-made explanations. Some believe a small, delayed avalanche forced hikers to flee in panic. However, there was no evidence of an avalanche at the site, and it doesn't explain some of the severe injuries found on some of the bodies. Others suggest the hikers accidentally stumbled upon a secret weapons test. Kholat taps into this idea with references to classified Soviet documents and a cover-up. The game isn't a history lesson, it's an experience designed to make you feel the same fear and confusion the hikers might have felt. The landscape is accurate, the sense of isolation and disorientation reflects what the hikers likely went through, and the paranoia and dread capture the emotion surrounding the Dyatlov mystery.
Games like this, I'll be bored as fuck, gang. I'll be bored as hell with this one. I ain't gonna cap to you.
Even if the game's glowing entities are fiction. Kholat doesn't try to solve the case, instead it keeps the mystery alive, leaving you wandering the frozen wasteland searching for answers, just like investigators have done for over 60 years.
Yeah.
Used to dream of going to the moon. Escape there.
Every now and then, a game unintentionally mirrors reality in ways that are hard to ignore. This is one such case. Released in 2017, Granny became one of the most popular mobile...
Man, get that bitch off the screen, gang. The fuck scared me, man. Nah. And what's crazy is I was trying to play that game last year. I was trying to play Granny last year because I seen so many clips of it. But I don't think I can handle.
horror games of its
And the graphics is ass, but it's scary. That's the thing.
time. The concept is that you wake up in a rundown house, locked inside by a grey-skinned, hollow-eyed woman. She's old, frail-looking, but don't let that fool you, because Granny patrols the house, reacting to every sound. If you knock over a table, she hears it. If you step on a creaky floorboard, she's already on her
Hey man, see that's the shit I can't. Nah, dog. I can't.
way. She moves at an unnatural speed, chasing after you the moment you make a mistake. If she catches you, she knocks you unconscious with her bat. You have 5 days, 5 chances to find your way out before something terrible happens. So what if something like this actually happened? A real life case so eerily similar that I think the game
I could have sworn they made a movie like this though. I need to look up the movie because I want to watch it. I could have sworn that, yeah.
game definitely draws inspiration. St. Petersburg, Russia, 2015. An elderly woman is spotted on a security camera, casually walking near her apartment building. Nothing unusual, except for the fact that she's carrying a large plastic bag, a heavy one. A few hours later, police receive a report. A disjointed torso had been found near a pond. No head, no arms, no legs, just a torso. It doesn't take long for authorities to track down a suspect, and when they knock on her apartment door, they find Tamara Samsonova, a 68-year-old woman sitting calmly in her chair like nothing had happened. But when police search her apartment, they uncover something out of a nightmare. Dozens of handwritten diaries filled with detailed notes about murder. Casual entries describing how and when she murdered people as if it were a routine part of her life. They found plastic bags filled with rotten flesh hidden around the building. Some reports even suggest that she may have even eaten parts of her victims. One diary entry dated
Some people that's like this, bro, they be testing the waters. They be testing it. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, they be testing the water. They be testing what they did. But that's weird, bro. That's weird, bro. Ah.
September 2003 reads,
Some
I
cannibals.
killed my tenant Volodya, put the pieces of his body in plastic bags, and threw them away in different parts of Ruzensky district. Another entry from March 2015 details the murder of Valentina Ulanova, a 79-year-old woman she'd been living with at the time of her arrest. Valentina had been her friend, but according to Tamara's diary, she had become too difficult to live with. Tamara's solution to the little problem was to crush a handful of sleeping pills into her food, wait for her to lose consciousness, grab a hacksaw, and I think you can imagine the rest. When questioned by the police, Tamara never showed any remorse. At times, she smiled and even laughed when describing what she had done. The media quickly gave her the name the Granny Ripper, a woman who had spent years luring people into her home and making sure they never left. I personally think the similarities between Granny and the Granny Ripper are too bizarre to ignore. Both are old women living alone in decaying homes with something deeply wrong beneath the surface. Both trap people inside their own homes, one trapping victims in the game, the other in real life. The video game Granny keeps a crossbow in her house, a small but crucial tool that players can use to fire tranquilizer darts at her. If you manage to hit her, she collapses and stays unconscious for 2 minutes, giving you a chance to escape. In real life, Tamara Samsonova didn't need a crossbow. She allegedly dosed her victims in much the same way, sedating them so they couldn't fight back. Just like the game's tranquilizer, her method didn't kill immediately. It only made
Watch who give y'all a drink. Chat. Watch who hand y'all a drink. Even at the clubs, man. You know, even at the bars. Even at restaurants. I mean, you just need to watch who hands you your drink. Because as soon as you feel weird or anything, you know who to look at. But by the time that happened, you out of it. If they didn't really did something to you. Just watch it, man. Just watch your surroundings, dog.
her victims helpless, ensuring they had no chance
And don't be
to run. Then
trusting
there's the most
everybody.
unsettling part, the unnatural quality they both share. In the game, Granny moves with disturbing speed and aggression, something that you wouldn't expect for someone so old. And yet in real life, Tamara Samsonova was much the same. Despite her age, she carried and disposed of bodies without any help. Unlike most serial killers, Samsonova was never sent to prison. After a psychiatric evaluation, she was declared legally insane and sentenced to an indefinite detention in a high-security psychiatric hospital. During her trial, she made disturbing comments, at one point begging the judge to let her go so she could continue killing. Her words
What?
in court were, "I knew you would come. It's such a disgrace for me. All this publicity. I am guilty and deserve to be punished. I've been preparing for this trial for 10 years. It is all deliberate. There is no way to live. With this last murder, I closed the chapter." She was committed to Kazangyurk Psychiatric Hospital in 2015, where she remains to this day.
She's still alive. What the fuck? Hey, they got her dosed up. They probably got her on locked down. Wherever room she in. She's not getting out the room. They feeding her through the door type shit. I feel like they probably treating her bad, man. I feel like they already treat the patients bad.
You're looking at a digital city from above. The streets are filled with people, some just walking around, others moving with purpose. At first glance, everything might seem peaceful, but hidden amongst the crowd are terrorists, figures marked by the game as threats. Your job is very simple: stop them. September 12th, A Toy World presents you with one tool, a missile launcher. There's no score, no levels, no game over screen. You just click to fire, and your missile strikes the target. But the explosion doesn't just hit the terrorist, it spreads. Buildings crumble, and worst of all, civilians get caught in the blast. As their tiny figures collapse, the remaining people in the city react. They stop what they're doing, some run away, while others stand still, mourning the loss of those who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then something strange happens. Those mourning civilians begin to change. Their outfits darken, and they transformed into the very thing you are trying to eliminate. More terrorists appear, blending into the crowd. The problem doesn't get smaller, it grows. And the more missiles you launch, the more civilians you lose, and the cycle repeats. At first, it might just feel like you're not playing well enough. Maybe if you time your shots better, aim more carefully, or fire less often, you'll eventually wipe out all the threats. But that's the trick. There is no winning. No matter
They're trying to tell us something, y'all. They trying to say that, man. They saying what? When we was bombing Iran, yeah, they was happy because we was hitting them people, them ones. But we was killing some of them loved ones too. They loved ones, right? So now they loved ones turn to the Taliban.
to what you do, the violence continues. Every action you take feeds into the never-ending loop. September 12th isn't a game in the traditional sense. It's more like a simulation, not because it's hyper-realistic, but because it's meant to make you think. It doesn't tell you what's right and wrong. It simply lets you play and watch as the consequences unfold. You might already realize what this game is trying to say. Studies have shown that when civilians are harmed during counter-terrorism operations, it can increase anger towards those responsible. Family members and friends of the deceased may seek revenge, become
Yeah. Girl. Yeah. I knew it. I knew it, bro. Come on now. Y'all knew it. Y'all knew it.
radicalized themselves. This creates a sort of cycle, violence breeding more violence, just like in the game. US military reports from conflicts in the Middle East, particularly in Iraq and Afghanistan, have acknowledged that civilian casualties can have a direct impact on radicalization. One report from the RAND Corporation described how groups like Al-Qaeda use civilian
Hell, they were sending their babies out with bombs attached to them, gang. That shit was crazy. They were sending kids with bombs attached to them. Because they know how we are with the kids, bro. We over here. Come on, come over here. We'll save you. They get them in our arms and blow.
civilian deaths as propaganda, turning public outrage into recruitment opportunities. Leaked military documents and intelligence reports, like the 2012 joint report by Stanford and NYU titled Living Under Drones, highlighted a familiar cycle. For every terrorist killed, civilians caught in the crossfire can fuel resentment, therefore potentially leading to new recruits joining extremist groups. Studies have found that airstrikes, whilst eliminating immediate threats, can sometimes increase long-term radicalization. The same concept plays out in September 12th. Each terrorist you eliminate only leads to more emerging from the grieving crowd. Even the game's name, September 12th, obviously hints at a real-world inspiration. It refers to the day after the Twin Towers was struck, when the United States and its allies faced a critical decision. How should they respond? The invasion of Afghanistan soon followed, marking the beginning of the War on Terror, a war that decades later still impacts global politics.
One more, y'all. We're gonna watch one more.
Chernobylite takes place in one of the most unusual and dangerous places on Earth, the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. This is an 100 square mile area in northern Ukraine that was evacuated after a major nuclear accident in 1986. But to understand why this area is so significant, you first need to know what happened at Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, a routine safety test of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant went horribly wrong. Reactor 4, one of the plant's 4 nuclear reactors, exploded due to a combination of design flaws and human error. The explosion released massive amounts of radiation into the air, contaminating large parts of Ukraine, Belarus, and even reaching other countries in Europe. I probably don't need to tell you that radiation is dangerous because it damages the human body at a microscopic level. In high doses, it can
You see that? Is that what it do?
reaching other countries in Europe. I probably don't need to tell you that radiation is dangerous because it damages the human body at a microscopic level. In high doses, it can cause severe burns, organ failure, and even death. In the days following the explosion, people in the nearby town of Pripyat, where most of the plant's workers lived, were told nothing was wrong. Many went about their daily lives unaware that they were being exposed to deadly levels of radiation. It wasn't until 36 hours later that authorities finally ordered an evacuation, but by then, it was too late for many. Over the following months and years, thousands of people developed radiation-related illnesses, and a vast area surrounding the plant was deemed too dangerous for human life. Then, the exclusion zone was created, a permanent no-go area stretching for miles around the ruined reactor. All the buildings were left abandoned, nature slowly took over, and time seemed to stand still in the remains of the town. What's even more eerie is that
so radiation don't be like fucking with the plants and all that. The animals. Damn.
some of the places in the game no longer exist in reality. Over time, many of Chernobyl's buildings have collapsed due to weather, neglect, and radiation damage. In Chernobylite, they remain frozen in time, offering a look into the past that is slowly disappearing. The exclusion zone may seem like an abandoned wasteland, but it still has life. Over the years, nature has reclaimed much of the area, and a small number of self-settlers, people who refused to leave or later returned, continue to live there. Creating a game set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone is one thing, but actually going there is another. But for the team behind Chernobylite, accuracy was everything. They didn't just want to imagine what the zone looked like, they wanted to capture it exactly as it is. So instead of relying on old photos or satellite imagery, they went in themselves, bringing with them cutting-edge technology and a mission to recreate the real Chernobyl like never before. To achieve their goal, the developers used 3D photogrammetry, a technique that allows them to scan real-world objects and environments to create incredibly detailed digital models. They walked through the ruins of Pripyat, abandoned villages, and even the remains of the power plant itself, taking thousands of photos from every angle. These images were then processed to build one.
No, that's cool. That's creative. This is creative. You know, they actually went there and scanned the whole little thing they wanted to put in the game. That's cool.
One digital.
He said, "Nah, dude, you should do a video on that place one day. It's pretty cool. Animals with 2 heads. Red forest. It's really cool. Damn. Okay. Bet. That'll be a video, bro. That'll be a video.
Recreations of actual locations, making Chernobyl one of the most visually accurate portrayals of the exclusion zone ever made. But this wasn't just about making the game look good, it was about preservation. Some parts of Chernobyl are rapidly deteriorating. By scanning these locations, the developers were able to digitally freeze them in time, allowing players to explore places that may no longer exist in the future. Entering the exclusion zone isn't as simple as just walking in. Radiation levels vary across the area, with some places still dangerously contaminated. While certain parts of the zone have lower radiation levels and are safe for short visits, others, like the Red Forest, one of the most radioactive areas in the world, can be deadly. The developers had to follow strict safety protocols to avoid exposure. They wore dosimeters, which are devices that measure radiation, to monitor their levels at all times. Some areas were off limits, while others could only be visited for a few minutes before radiation levels became unsafe. Even so, they were able to scan key locations, including the Pripyat amusement park, home to the famous rusted Ferris wheel that never officially opened, and the ruins of Reactor 4, now sealed under a massive steel sarcophagus to contain the radiation. Though one of the biggest challenges wasn't just radiation, it was the feeling of the place itself. Even decades after the disaster, Chernobyl doesn't feel empty. There are obviously no crowds and no bustling streets, but the silence itself feels unnatural. The developers described an eerie atmosphere, and they weren't alone in this feeling. Many visitors to Chernobyl report a similar feeling of a deep sense of unease, especially in areas where people once lived.
Yeah,
Fears to fathom is different.
man, I told y'all, gang. I told y'all, bruh. That was gonna be our last one. Man. Like I was telling y'all earlier. Hopefully, bro. Not even hopefully. We gonna do that IRL stream. I gotta get y'all better content. I don't want to keep sitting in this chair every stream. But if we do IRLs, y'all, we're gonna do them on the weekend. So that means during the week, we're gonna stick with these, you know? Then on the weekend, I'm gonna give y'all a day. So it may be like Saturday or Sunday. And we're gonna stream, bro. IRL. I hope y'all have a good afternoon, gang. I fuck with y'all. You know, love. Y'all be safe. For real, be safe. And just watch out for y'all surroundings, man. We out of here. I'm about to finish rolling up. There's smoke. So, what y'all about to do? Why'd that mess up like that? It didn't do it again. So, what y'all about to do? He said, let's hit that Dean and AB, folk. Bro, that'll be tomorrow's stream, bro. We gotta watch some of them clips, gang. Bro, we gotta watch some of them clips. Dean and AB. Cause they be doing some wild shit. Have a good night, Brody. Mr. Ha, have a good night, fam. No, facts. Cause we got a hot day tomorrow. That must, bro, something's not plugged in all the way for it to be doing that. But yeah, man, I would love to just sit here, chill with y'all, which I need to. I need to just talk to y'all, bro, sometimes. Instead of like reacting to videos. I need to do a lot of shit, y'all. But, all right. I'm going to talk to y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time. Because I'm from Oklahoma. I'll see y'all, man.